And today's Gospel reading was from St. Mark, Jesus talking about the end of the world. I think that's, as we say in the Creed, He ascends to heaven, sits at the right hand of the Father, and He shall return to judge the living and the dead. And so it's kind of like fitting that at the end of a liturgical year, pretty much, I shouldn't say the full end of the liturgy, but the end of a particular period, we have this reference to the end of things, which of course is very real for all of us because we all die, and it's not like thousands of years away for any of us. So that's a sobering reading from Mass, and also for us to know that, well, everything we do there's got to be in the context of understanding that it all turns to dust. And at the end we have the Feast of Christ the King next week, because Pope Pius XI in 1935, in an encyclical called Quas Primas, wanted to emphasise the importance of nations recognising the kingship of Christ. And if we know this was instituted in 1935, we know the background. Mussolini had marched on Rome and taken over the state in 1922. And so the ideology of fascism was the prevailing ideology in Italy. So that was effectively being addressed without being spoken about in Quas Primas. So not the state is king, but Christ is still king. So it's a reminder to Italians most directly. But also, of course, in 1933, Hitler had become Chancellor of Germany. And that variation of the fascist ideology, National Socialism, was prevailing in another part of Europe. So Quas Primas, and the Feast of Christ the King being instituted, addresses that too. But it goes much more broadly than those ideologies. Of course, the Soviet system was established in 1917. And that is extremely godless. And so the Russians are being told, and all the communist ideologues in Italy, Germany, elsewhere are being told that Christ is king. But beyond all those swirling ideologies of the early 20th century, we have the prevailing problem since the French Revolution. The nations have moved further and further away from Christ. So even with the Protestant Reformation, there was still an adherence to Christ. He's still regarded as king. That's long past in the Protestant nations, and in the Catholic nations is already passing as well. So that's the importance of Feast of Christ the King and an historical perspective. Today, in a moment, today, we don't tend to get this emphasis on Christ as king, except in a kind of spiritual sense, not in the meaningful political sense that I think it was really meant to be by Pius XI. And I think that that's a real failure today, because more than ever Catholics need to focus on Christ as a political ruler of political systems, and no political system can be valid unless Christ is seen as the top of the summit of that. And if somehow Christ isn't there, that political system is invalid.